Hi guys, Tom Barton from TomBartonSports.com here. We have an interesting topic today, so I brought in an expert on pain and suffering. We're going to be talking about the Hall of Fame, or let's be more honest, the Hall of Fame snubs. If you guys like the video, please subscribe and comment below. Tell everybody out there. Tell everybody to make sure they watch. We could use all the likes, all the subscribes that we can get. Also, go check me out at TomBartonSports.com and Tom Barton Sports over on Twitter. If you have any questions, it's TomBartonSports over at gmail.com. Again, guys, look, the Hall of Fame just came and went, and I'm a new hurt person when it comes to the Hall of Fame, so I thought I'd bring on an expert. It is Abby. She is wearing she's wearing a Zach Thomas jersey. I was going to wear my Brian Urlacher jersey and celebrate that Devin Hester got in. I'm wearing my Devin Hester jersey instead. I'm upset. I'm not feeling good. What is this? What do they do? I'm in confusion. How can they not put Devin Hester in the Hall of Fame? We're going to get to that. But first, it's been years of frustration. It's been years of annoyance from Zach Thomas and the Miami Dolphins fans. So I thought I'd bring Abby along, who said, "Oh, I know your pain. Don't worry about it." Abby, what's going on? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been years and years and years of waiting for Zach to get into the Hall of Fame. And I actually have a little bit of a personal connection to Zach. I grew up in South Florida. That's why I'm a Dolphins fan. That's why I stick with them all these years.
So you didn't just choose a team like the Bears like I did.
No.
Because of a G.I. Joe character, namely in the refrigerator.
And they were the Dolphins, which was cool. I like Dolphins, and I was probably a little kid, and I was like, I'm a Dolphins fan. I was about in high school when he was drafted, started playing for the Dolphins, and he came to Western High School. It's in David, Florida. And I was at the homecoming game, and he was there just supporting the hometown. And I thought that was just he's a cool guy, just great. He supports the community. And I'm not just here to talk about his community work, because that's not what gets him into the Hall of Fame.
Right. But before you go into, stats and making your case, I have to let everybody know that you're not just Abby the Dolphins fan, right? You're not just my wife. Abby is a sports aficionado, especially for football. We are in fantasy leagues for about a decade now with sportsbook directors in Las Vegas, ticket writers, casino managers, sports entertainment people, everybody in the media. That's what we're in. And she's won first place multiple times, right? I mean, you've been a guest on shows. You've been a commentator. So when Dolphin stuff comes up, I get requests from her around the country. Hey, you think your wife could go jump on and talk some Dolphins? You don't know only Dolphin stuff, but it's where her heart really is near and dear to her. So I want to give you qualifications rather than them just being like, oh wow, there's a really good looking girl on here talking about football. No, she's got the qualifications to match.
And like I said, we are out there, women sports fans.
Yes, you are.
And we know what we're talking about too, just
Yes.
as well as you guys. But some reasons why I think Zach Thomas should be in the Hall of Fame is a couple of people actually mentioned him in their speeches in the Hall of Fame. One person we all know is Jimmy Johnson. He talked about how his defense led the Miami League. He is the defense when you think of the Miami Dolphins.
And he said that during his Hall of Fame speech,
yes.
which, to make a point like, oh, by the way, get this guy in. This is a couple of years ago.
And another person that mentioned it is Kevin Mawai. He said that he also should be in the Hall of Fame. So now we're talking about other players that feel so strongly about having him in the Hall of Fame. And that doesn't happen very much for players, especially somebody like Zach Thomas, who's a defensive player.
Right, and an offensive lineman on an opposing team taking his time out to mention him, how to leave an impact, I'd say.
Yeah. And he was also drafted in 1996, like I mentioned before, because when I was in high school, and he spent 12 seasons with the Dolphins, which you don't really see very much anymore. He was very dedicated to the team. He pretty much built that team along with Dan Marino that time. And so he became part of the Dolphins.
And let me just say, specifically for linebackers during that mid-90s time, a lot of the game has changed a little bit now. And now it's the pass rushers and whatnot. But in that mid-90s time, it was still the generation of middle linebackers, right? I mean, middle linebackers were it. They were not only the commander of the defense and the quarterback of the defense, but we looked at tackles just as an enormous statistic, which nowadays, go find me, who led the league in tackles, and a lot of people don't realize it. Now, I think it's coming back a little bit with Roquan Smith and Leonard from the Colts and whatnot, but we kind of got away from the middle linebacker there. He was in a generation where middle linebackers were just the dominant player.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we need to mention that.
Well, I mean, to go with what you just said, he racked up almost over 1,000 solo tackles and 627 assists through his 13-year career, which you don't really see very much.
No, you don't.
And just to bring in a comparison, Brian Urlacher and Junior Seau had less tackles, which is very crazy to me.
Both are in the Hall of Fame.
And both are in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. And both of them, I feel, are just as well known as Zach Thomas. Also, he intercepted 17 passes and returned 4 of them for touchdowns. And he forced 16 fumbles. This guy is amazing.
Turnover machine.
He is just amazing. So I truly feel like he has the stats. He has the personality. He has the legacy. He has everything built for a Hall of Fame person, a Hall of Fame player to get into, to become part of the Hall of Fame. I mean, I already consider him a Hall of Fame player without even being in there.
I think a lot of us do. The thing that stands out to me about Zach Thomas is where is he on the all-time lists of things, right? You were saying this before, Tom. Where is he on the all-time? We're talking about tackles. Where is he on the all-time tackling list?
He is 5th on the all-time. I had to think about that for a second because my brain is sometimes...
He's 5th.
It's a lot of...
We're not talking about top 20. We're not talking about somebody that's just making it kind of thing. No, he's 5th all-time in tackles in the NFL. Guy's not in the Hall of Fame.
No. And also, he's also been in 5 first-team All-Pro selections and 2 second-team All-Pro selections. And he was voted into 7 Pro Bowls. I mean, that's...
I've made it know how I feel about Pro Bowls. Pro Bowls are...
I know.
But All-Pro is massive. Look, we're talking about Matthew Stafford recently, and does he make the Hall of Fame? And that's a big conversation. Matthew Stafford. And Richard Sherman came out this week or last week and said Matthew Stafford doesn't make the Hall of Fame because he didn't make any All-Pros. Well, hey, it was up against Brady and Breeze and Manning, So I feel like, okay, but if you're making All-Pros, he was up against Seau and Urlacher, and he was still making All-Pros. So I think that's a great point. So, I think we both agree that Zach Thomas absolutely belongs in the Hall of Fame. You've been feeling that pain for a little while. This is new pain for me about Devin Hester.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it was a shoo-in. I liken Devin Hester, and Yankee fans, don't flip out. Look, I got a Ruth jersey behind me. I'm a Yankee fan. But I liken Devin Hester almost to Mariano Rivera. He was the best at his craft. Now, you can overlook that craft and say, well, Rivera was just a closer, or Devin Hester was just a kick and a punt returner. But he was the best at his craft. Right? I mean, 13 Special Teams Player of the Week award. That's phenomenal. And again, we talk about legacy. I want to talk about legacy. Named to the NFL's All-Decade team for the 2000s. Named to the All-Decade team, guys. Holds the league record. 19 kickoff returns, 14 punt returns for touchdowns, 20 punch returns for touchdowns, which includes punts, kickoffs, missed field goals, fumbles, interceptions. He did it all. Returned the opening kick in the Super Bowl. First guy to ever do that. I mean, he was the weapon. By the way, that year they got to the Super Bowl because of Peanut Tillman, Brian Urlacher, and Devin Hester playing offense because they were scoring points because Rex Grossman wasn't really the guy. So you look at Devin Hester and his career. And for me, the Hall of Fame is something different. It has devolved into kind of a popularity contest. It has devolved into certain things that I don't like about it. But there's one thing certain about the Hall of Fame that always stays with me. When you're talking about the Hall of Fame, you're talking about legacy. Was he the best at what he did ever? And this is one of the problems that I understand Richard Sherman had with Matt Stafford. He was never considered the best. There is no question in anyone's mind at all that Devin Hester is the greatest kick returner of all time. Deion Sanders, who might be the second, said there is no question that Devin Hester is the best. I mean, there was no worry, no doubt. There's not a hesitation. And you're a Florida State alumni. Deion Sanders from Florida State is giving love to a Miami Hurricane. And somebody that's head-to-head in his competition, you know how Deion's ego is. He's like, no, of course he's the best. You can't tell the story of the NFL without Devin Hester. And that right there is the whole
I just
thing.
think of him as beyond belief up in a different level.
Yes.
Than his different counterparts. You don't even think of any other guys in his field that can do what he can do.
I mean, Eric Metcalf was kind of good, and a lot of people going, who? Right? I mean, that's the difference. And here's the thing with Devin Hester. When you talk about, we talk about Hall of Fame, and people say, can you tell the story of the NFL without? He can't tell the story without him. But besides that, guys, Devin Hester was so good They changed the rules. They changed all of the rules for him. We'll never see a kickoff returner again. Why? They called it the Devin Hester rule. They called it the Devin Hester rule not because he was getting injured, not because, well, you know what, this is not fair to anybody else, because he was too good. Yeah. He was too good. So they call it the Devin Hester rule. I always find it funny when I watch NFL games nowadays and you see, late in the game or in a playoff spot or a big spot, what do? They put that fastest returner back out there, right? They put a Tyreek Hill back to return kicks, or they put somebody else back there to return kicks, and you go, here we go. This could get interesting. That was every time someone kicked to Devin Hester, right? I mean, every single time. And even with all of the accolades that he has, the 19 kick returns, the 14 punt returns, with all the accolades and all the things that he did accomplish, it's when he didn't catch the ball which actually was more impactful, because teams game planned just against giving him the ball. So they would give up 10, 15, 20 yards of field position just to not kick it to Devin Hester. They would have bad kicks, people in their heads, and the offense was able to succeed even more. He never touched the ball, and he already gained 20 yards of field position. That is the impact of a Devin Hester.
And I think also one thing you always think about with any Hall of Fame inductee is their work ethic. And I think that both Brian, I'm sorry, we did it again. We want to say Brian because you're wearing a jersey. I'm looking at you. Zach and that Devin did was they just worked their butts off. They just were beyond. They both said, I'm going to be one of the best, if not the best, which we know Devin is the best in their positions of what they do. And I remember when I had Devin on my fantasy team. Yes. And one week I think he racked up so many points just because of his punt returns. Yeah. And I was like, this guy's amazing.
Those were fun defense special teams to have with Peanut Tillman knocking the ball out and Urlacher slapping it away, and then Devin Hester. One of the things I do want to close with here is because we're talking about, obviously in a baseball standpoint, but a lot of people talking about character, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm really big on that.
Right, steroids should not be a part of it, and if the guy's a bad guy, they left Kurt Schilling out because of his beliefs and his political stance. I don't agree with any of that. But if you are somebody that does agree with all that, I don't know if you could get two better bastions of the game than Zach Thomas and Devin Hester.
I follow both of them in their social media.
Just good guys.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, for somebody who just came into the community, he didn't know really what kind of community he was getting into, and to show up at a high school football game because he wanted to support the local kids. I mean, that says a lot about somebody. And I know Devin does a lot of charity work. Oh, yeah. He's a big charity
He does it in Chicago and still down in Miami.
Yeah.
So he's doing it
dual. And I know he's constantly just touting amazing tweets and social media things that he does. He's just a really cut above the rest.
And I think one of the things that I could close with here is that me and Abby have a 4-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old son. We just went to the Hall of Fame. You guys could go check that out on my other YouTube videos. Baseball Hall of Fame. But one of the things when we were going through, you're having a conversation, and you're having a conversation with the kids about, well, this person, and you build them up. You know what I mean? Oh, this is what he did, and you want to build up good character people. If our kids grew up to be Zach Thomas or Devin Hester, I'm ecstatic, on the field and off.
I agree. And I actually have a question for you. I know we're talking about these two guys, but who else do you think should be and is included in that team of why isn't this guy there?
There's not a lot in the NFL. The NFL is a little lenient. Eventually, everybody gets in. The problem is Devin Hester will get in. Okay.
Well, yeah. How many years is it? I think
is it today's his first? I mean, this year was his first year.
Okay.
He was annoyed that he didn't get in on a first term because he thinks it gives you a little bit extra, and it does. Right. The NFL lets a lot of people in. I can't think of anybody necessarily offhand that I'm like, I don't know if they're going to get in. I'm worried about Zach Thomas. I am. I'm concerned about him. I think that he's right now at the forefront for me of being that guy that you go, ooh, it's kind of a travesty that he's not in right now because I think I'm annoyed that Devin Hester's not in, but I don't think we're going to be doing this video in 2 years from now and still going, Hester's still not in. We may be doing it with Zach.
But why? Okay, because I completely do not understand. And maybe I'm just too close to the person because I'm a huge Dolphins fan. I grew up with him, watching him. I just loved him on the field. Like, I'm attached to him. He's my favorite player. I have the jersey on. But why wouldn't he get in? What would be the reason?
Well, guys, I'm going to ask you guys to make comments below, but I'm going to maybe be slipping on the couch tonight. It's because the Miami Dolphins are terrible. And they were not a good team.
No,
Brian Urlacher brought him to a Super Bowl.
Out.
Junior Seau brought him to a Super Bowl. They never had playoff success. It's a culmination of looking at the Miami Dolphins and saying you never had team success. So how can I give you an award for being a team leader when your team didn't have that success?
Oh, kind of like Dan Marino.
Well, yeah, but I think we all know Marino's in the Hall of Fame. But a few Dolphins fans that doesn't like Marino. It's very weird. But I think that's why. I think he also gets lost in the shuffle because you do have
But he
people
should.
like
That's what this whole
right. But his personality was a quiet personality.
Yes.
Brian Urlacher was bigger than life because he's in Chicago. Junior Seau was a big personality kind of guy. Derek Thomas at the same time, linebacker, big.
Okay, so
these guys are big, name type of guys, and the production could have got lost.
Right. But I want to give you an example, and I apologize, I can't remember his full name. The guy from the Jaguars that just got in this year.
Oh, Tony Baselli.
Yeah.
So Baselli was fantastic.
Right, and I'm not
right, but his team was terrible. But they weren't. They were terrible, but it was a franchise team. He was the first one on a brand new franchise and brought the team some success. Coughlin and Brunell did bring them to the playoffs. It is the Jaguars, but you have to have a little leniency.
It's Zach Chavez. You can't. It's the exact same person.
Not going to convince you, and I don't believe my argument. That's why I'm asking them to comment below and let us know.
Let us know. What do you think? Because I think he should get in. I don't think he should ever be snubbed.
I think they both should get in and should get in pretty immediately.
Well, I said, Devin Hester, we know. I think Hester.
He'll get in. I'm just annoyed. I'm just angry and ornery today. That's all. He should have been in on the first ballot Hall of Fame, and I'm a little annoyed. But I'm scared to be sitting in your chair and being years later and going, he's still not in.
I am okay dealing with disappointment. That's why I'm
a Dolphins fan.
Look what happened this year. We're not going to go into that. That's a different video altogether. But I just don't see a reason why not. I just cannot see a reason why this guy, Zach, cannot get into the Hall of Fame. He's got the stats. He's got off-field cred. He's got, people vouching for him. NFL, it's time.
It is definitely time. And it is time to head out on this video. Thank you again to Abby. Guys, I'll have her back on. If you guys make sure you comment below, like it, share it up. Go check me out at TomBartonSports.com. Tom Barton Sports over on Twitter. And you can always contact me, TomBartonSports@gmail.com. Have a very good day, everybody.
Bye.